All right, my friends, welcome back. This topic here, guys, is on Neanderthals, and sometimes you'll hear it referred to as Neanderthal. Neanderthal. It's actually pronounced Neanderthal. Neanderthals. This block here, guys, that I have was actually in my dinosaur and man presentation. I have it slipped into it, and when I was going through my man and dinosaur presentation, when I came to this area, I said, I think I'm just going to let this be a separate video or videos, and so I didn't do it. I wish I would have went ahead and covered it because, in the grand scheme of everything that I have, especially like the flood in Noah's Ark, that one was 124 videos long. I really should have done. I would have just went. I wish I would have went ahead and just did the material and went through it because the dinosaur and man videos. I think there's 110 or 111 of those, and so it wouldn't have made any difference. I was trying to save somewhat on time, and I didn't think it. I thought it would work better if I would have done this separate. And so, but now looking back, I wish I would have just put it into it. And but for what it's worth, I'm gonna go through as many of these slides that I can, and I'm just briefly kind of going over it. At least I think I'm briefly going over it, which there's a lot of good information here. And I don't know if I have that book. Yes, right here. It's called Buried Alive. I got this information, most of the information, from this book right here, Buried Alive by Jack Cuozzo. Jack Cuozzo. And he also has a video on YouTube that he did a presentation on this. And so if I can find that, guys, if I can find that, I will put that in the description below. It's an awesome, awesome presentation. So it gives you something to watch if you want to learn some more. And so I don't know why I'm thinking he passed away. He's no longer alive. I don't know why I'm thinking that. And so he may have passed away. He may be gone. He may be with the Lord now. But he wrote this book, and it's about Neanderthals, where he got a chance to actually study the actual fossils themselves, and it got him into some hot water. And so his life, at least he believed that his life was on the line. And so, it's just a remarkable story. And so when I went backpacking, I took this book with me. I took this book with me and I started reading it. And just fascinating story, guys. It really is fascinating book, fascinating testimony about what he found about these individuals here. And so, but there are people, guys, even in the Christian, when we're talking about cavemen and stuff like that, there are Christians, guys, that believe in cavemen. Where they get that from, again, baffles me. And it's just like they try to put in long ages of time into the days of creation, when it literally says it's a 24-hour period. The day and the evening were one day, day and the night. The day when the day and the evening is one day. Day and evening, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. And so I don't get it. I don't understand it when it's there. But I've actually seen Bibles too. In their footnotes, they'll say that the days of creation were not literal days, but spans of time. And those footnotes aren't even inspired. They're not inspired, but they're in the Bible. They're in the Bible. And in these Bibles, I can't remember which ones I actually saw it in, but they're not called, like I have a Henry Morris study Bible. These Bibles weren't called that. Which Henry Morris, when it says the Henry Morris study Bible, he has his own footnotes in there that he put in there. So he put in there. But even those footnotes are not inspired. Even though that, I trust Henry Morris, those footnotes are not inspired at all. The scripture, the Bible, the scripture is inspired. And so, but I want you to notice here, mytho-history. And you're going to see the question mark there. a prominent Christian philosopher, writer, and evolutionist. Get that. He's a Christian philosopher and an evolutionist. William Lane Craig has suggested that Adam and Eve may be plausibly identified as members of Homo, whatever that is, Heidelbergensis, and as the founding pair of the root of all human species. Mr. Craig considers Genesis 1 and through Genesis 11 as Hebrew mytho-history, which he does not interpret as literal history. He believes that Adam lived sometime between 1 million years ago and 750,000 years ago. Now, this is what this guy believes. I actually watched a interview with him. I tell you guys, it's crazy. It's crazy. Now, this right here, I mean, this is nothing more than a wolf in sheep's clothing. And so when you start questioning God's word and stuff, when you start attacking the book of Genesis, you attack the whole book, the whole thing, the whole Bible. You attack everything. It's a domino effect. If we cannot trust the book of Genesis, we can't trust any of it. It's just as simple as that. Now, when we talk about Neanderthals, this is a walk through human evolution. It says the newest fossils have brought scientists tantalizingly close to the time when humans first walked upright, splitting off from chimpanzees. Their best guess now is that it happened about 6 million years ago. And so, again, right there, you can see that if you guys want to freeze it. And just for time's sake, I'm just going to move on to Neanderthals. And then you see that Homo sapiens, which is modern humans. And so, but they're claiming that the Neanderthals were like a separate species of human. And so, but at any rate, we're going to look into that. Were they really a separate species or a caveman? And so there's a lot, when you talk about human evolution, us coming from chimpanzees and the apes, there's a lot of differences, guys. If you want to freeze this and look over it, and this is just the handprints, fingerprints and stuff like that. There's a lot of differences between humans and apes. I mean, just look at us. I mean, there's differences between us. Let's go over some notes on Neanderthals. The first recognized partial skull was found in a valley near Dusseldorf, Germany in 1856, and a valley named after hymn writer, this is a Christian hymn writer, Joachim Neander in Neander Valley. And so that was named after him. Time period for the Neanderthals is 250 to 30,000 years ago and would cover as many as 10,000 generations. Other secular time spans are 200 to 400,000 years ago. Approximately 400 to 600 Neanderthals have been found. Neanderthal anatomy differed from modern humans, having more of a robust build, much stronger than humans today, stronger arms and hands. A 2013 study also suggested that Neanderthals' eyesight may have been better than that of modern humans, having larger eye sockets and larger areas of the brain devoted to vision. Neanderthals also differed in DNA by about 0.12%. Individual lifespan for the Neanderthals is that few lived into their 40s and almost none lived beyond the age of 50. Now that last one there is a secular view of this, an evolutionary view of this is what we're saying. And so you need to remember that. That's key there. And so now if you notice that little red dot, that's Dusseldorf, Germany. Now this right here is Jack Cuozzo, Dr. Jack Cuozzo. And I do show that I must have added that 1937 to 2017. So he did die. He did die in 2017. He studied at Georgetown University, biology major and philosophy minor, and obtained degrees from the University of Pennsylvania, DDS, and Loyola University, Chicago Graduate School of Dentistry, MS Oral Biology, Certificate of Specialty in Orthodontics. An orthodontist in the New Jersey area for 31 years, Dr. Cuozzo also served for 2 years as head of the orthodontic section and 2 years as assistant director of the dental department at Mountainside Hospital in Montclair, New Jersey. And so that is his background, or was his background. And so he had credentials. So the man knows something about the teeth, the jaw, the human skull, and the anatomy thereof. And so this is some Cuozzo note. This is some notes that he had. Dr. Jack Cuozzo studied the actual Neanderthal fossils for 25 years. Not copies, not any cast. He actually studied the fossils themselves. He says that they were post-flood people who lived approximately 192 to 300 years old. 300 years old. These people lived upwards of ages between 192 to 300 years old. That's how long they lived. Slow maturation, which that means it was a process of maturing. They matured much slower than we do now. Adult maturity would be reached approximately around 35 years to 50 years old. That's when they began, that's when they were adult. If the person lived 900 years. Bones in the skulls also showed long, slow maturity. The skull keeps growing after humans reach adult max growth. Now let's look at some examples here. This is one of the skulls that was found. You see how that the forehead, how the eye sockets, the brow ridges. This is La Chapelle au Sens. Excuse me. La Chapelle Sens. Approximately 283 years old. This person was somewhere around 283 years old when they died. The brow ridges keep growing out forward. The eye sockets also growing out forward. So this person right here is not a missing link or an ape or anything like that. It's the bone structure, guys. The bone structures of the skulls keep growing. If you'll notice in your pictures, if you look at your picture of what you look like now compared to what you looked like when you graduated high school, your bone structure is different. It's different. You can see that. You can easily see that. It's wild when you see these people that do these plastic surgery. Well, they can do whatever they want to their face and their skin, but that skull is going to still grow. And if you'll notice that some of these people, guys, they look weird. They just look weird. And it's just, they just keep tightening that skin up, but that skull keeps growing. It continues to grow. This is the Lafarisi. They said that he said this person right here, when they died, was approximately 267 years old. The lower jaw squares out in the back. You can see the bones are just larger. They're more dense, more robust. And so these are some of the features too that they've seen in the growth. I'm sure these people would stick out in a crowd if we was to see them walking around. And so what was actually amazing too, he said another way, another proof to show you that the skull keeps growing. If you have a hat or a helmet that you wore when you was in high school or something, for those of you that might be on certain baseball teams or something like that, try to wear that hat today. Don't change anything about it. Whatever the size was then, just see if you can wear it. Now, going on. Let's see. Apes mature 1.8 times faster than humans. Twice as fast. Neanderthal fossils showed evidence of slow growth. A study of the heart of humans versus great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans showed that the left ventricle, the largest of our four heart chambers, contains bundles of muscles arranged in a mesh structure known as whatever that right there is, trabeculations. But these are dramatically less prominent in apes. This lesser trabeculation means the inside of our ventricle is almost completely smooth by comparison with the prominent trabeculations in apes. It also allows our ventricles tip to twist and rotate during contraction in a special way. Both make up our heart much more effective at pumping blood than apes' hearts. Other differences between apes and humans. There is the idea that DNA supports common ancestry. Numbers given for similarly range in the areas of 97, 98, 99%. The figures published don't mean quite what is claimed. DNA contains its information in the sequence of 4 chemical compounds known as nucleotides, abbreviated as C, G, A, and T, which would be cytosine, guanine, adenine, and thymine. Now, for those of you that have not seen the microscopic world, go over this. We go over nucleotides and those base pairs. Groups of the 3 of these at the time are read by complex translation machinery in the cell to determine the sequence of 20 different types of amino acids to be incorporated into proteins. And we talked about that also, how amino acids are come together to form proteins and how proteins fold and stuff like that. So that's all in that presentation also. The human DNA has at least 3 billion nucleotides in sequenced. Chimp DNA has not been nowhere close fully sequenced, so a comparison could be made. It would be like comparing 1,000 large books, sentence by sentence, for similarities and differences. The numbers given, 97, 98, 99, was inferred from a fairly crude technique called DNA hybridization, where small parts of human DNA are split into single strands and allowed to reform double strands, duplex with chimp DNA. Even though a high degree of similarity between 2 DNA sequences exists, it still does not mean that they have the same meaning or function. See the example below. There are many scientists today who question the evolutionary paradigm and its atheistic philosophical implications. There are not many scientists today who question the evolutionary paradigm and its atheistic philosophical implications. These sentences have 97% homology, but have completely different meanings. If there was a 96% homologous, the 4% difference still amounts to 120 million base pairs, equivalent to approximately 12 million words or 40 large books of information, which is surely an impossible barrier for mutations, random changes to cross. And so, that right there is a good example. Clues in the Bible. People lived before and after the flood hundreds of years. So you can see this. This is a longevity chart, and they did. Before the flood, they were living upwards of 900 years plus. After the flood, they still lived a long time, all the way up until Peleg. And then that's when the lifespans drastically dropped. And then today, guys, here in America, if you live about 75 to 78 years, you're doing good. That's it. Now, of course, there are those exceptions, but that's overall. If you take everybody that's alive in America, the average age is 75 to 78 years. This is not really that old. All right, let's look at another clue of the Bible. Jacob gave witness in Genesis chapter 47, 7 through 9, and chapter 47, 27 through 28. So let's find out what he said here. It says here, and Joseph brought Jacob, his father, and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, The days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life have been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage. So I don't know, maybe Jacob looked old. Maybe he looked good. Maybe he looked bad. And whatever it was, Pharaoh saw something in him that made him say, Man, how old are you? And so that's when he said that. Now, he lived 130 years at that point. And now, before the flood, of course, they were living well into 900 years. And even after that, they were still living hundreds of years past that. So this is what Jacob was referring to. Going on. And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, which was Jacob, dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possession thereof, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the whole age of Jacob was 147 years old. He was 147 when he died. And so he was living really long ages. So I don't know, is it possible that Pharaoh saw some of those growth in the skull that we're talking about, into the brow ridges and stuff? Is it possible? Very well possible. Very well possible. So the biblical worldview has us maturing slower, which is good, That would be closer to Adam. Today, we are maturing physically faster, which is bad. So at the time of as recent as the flood, people were maturing much slower, and right after the flood, right around that time there, people were maturing much slower. Even after the flood, they were still maturing much slower. And it was, as we moved away from the flood, then those changes started to happen. Mutations started being gathered, our genetics started changing in that way. So now we're maturing much faster. But during that time period, they were maturing much at a slower rate. And this is some of the evidence that Cuozzo has seen in his research. And so I tell you what, guys, let's stop right here. I still got quite a bit to go over, but I can finish it up with the next video. So let's stop here. When we come back, we'll finish up. All right? You guys take care. I love you. Bye-bye.